This subject is Giving Effective Feedback, part of i2i Workplace's management training series on talent management. Giving employees positive reinforcement about good performance will usually stimulate an increase in that behavior. We'll talk about some tips for giving constructive feedback to reinforce, recognize, and reward employee performance. Here are the objectives for this section on giving effective feedback. First, to recognize the reasons why we give feedback and what are our intentions. Secondly, we'll talk about both positive and negative feedback and ensuring that the employee listens, understands, and acts upon our feedback. Thirdly, we'll talk about an acronym BOOSTER, which will give us the best results. And fourth, we'll talk about the 5-step feedback process, which will provide you with a roadmap for giving effective feedback. When giving feedback, ask yourself, what is your intention? There are several good reasons to give feedback. The first would be to confirm understanding, to make sure that the employee understands what you're asking them to do and why. Also, this is your opportunity to clarify the meaning or the intent of giving the feedback and to provide guidance, to give direction in terms of a step-by-step process that you'd like to follow, and to change the employee's behavior and encourage their development. A bad reason to give feedback would be to demean, embarrass, intimidate, or hurt your employee to get something off your chest. Have the best intentions when you approach any opportunity to give feedback to your staff. Traditionally, supervisors and managers have used both positive and negative reinforcement to help motivate employees. There is a time or place for both, but a general rule of thumb for providing feedback is to praise publicly and criticize privately. Research shows that you should give more positive than negative reinforcement. Some claim as much as 3 times more. So look for what employees are doing right and focus your feedback on developing their skills. Unfortunately, many managers and supervisors are in the habit of mainly focusing on what's wrong, talking over everyday problems with their employees. While this is an understandable and necessary part of management, you'll need to train yourself to focus more on positives than negatives, while remembering that your praise should always be earned, then given sincerely. Here's an easy way to remember how to give effective feedback with the BOOSTER acronym. BOOSTER stands for balanced, observed, objective, specific, timely, engaging, and respectful. Balanced in terms of positive and negative. Balanced in terms of giving the employee the benefit of the doubt that their intentions are pure, that they do want to improve. Also balanced in terms of logic and emotion. Present the logic, yes, but do so in a professional and respectful way at all times. The first O is for observed. You've got to see the behavior and not beat around the bush and indicate that someone has told you or it has been called to my attention. Using I statements and owning the feedback is essential to getting your message across. The second O is objective, and the opposite of objective is subjective, meaning it's your opinion. So you've got to back the feedback up with fact. The S stands for specific. You want to make the feedback refer to one specific example. Generalized comments like "you're doing a great job" won't help the employee focus on what they're doing right or what they're doing wrong. T again is for timely, and you want to offer the encouragement and feedback immediately after the behavior has taken place. Giving your feedback soon after the desired behavior makes it clear what you're talking about. And it's a compliment that goes a long way in terms of an employee's pride in their work. E is for engaging, meaning there should be some give and take in a conversation with the employee to ensure that they understand the feedback that you're giving them. And R is for respectful. Demonstrating respect at all times goes a long way with your relationship with the employee. While giving feedback, remember to keep it professional and respectful. Mutual respect can be demonstrated in terms of tone of voice, facial expressions, eye contact, and body language. So make sure that you demonstrate effective body language, but also read the body language of the person that you're giving feedback to and ensure that the situation is calm and comfortable and that the employee is listening and is engaged in the conversation. Employees need clear directions, requests, and clear feedback. But the feedback needs to be presented in a way that coaches and motivates them, not berates or belittles them. When making a request or providing feedback, try this 5-step feedback process. It's a way of guiding your conversation that will result in a cooperative employee. The 5-step feedback process is like a roadmap that guides your thoughts while discussing an issue. The main problem about any issue is that in a stressful situation, each person fails to see things objectively. So, to avoid appearing too aggressive, present your issue respectfully and thoughtfully using this 5-step feedback process. Step 1, make an objective statement. Step 2, back it up with fact. Tell the person precisely what they did and include a time, dates, people involved, etc. Step 3, impact. Mention how the behavior impacts the department, the team members, and the organization in terms of productivity, loss of effort, loss of customers, or other result. Step 4, indicate the desired result. Make suggestions, what you'd like to see happen, or the consequences if the action steps are not taken. And then step 5, in closing, end on a positive note. Say, we can work this out, and set the stage for the next time such an issue occurs. Let's try that out. So step 1 is making an objective statement, using I statements to own it, and avoiding generalizations such as always or never. Step 2, back it up with facts, specific dates, times, examples. Step 3, the impact, why it matters. Step 4, the desired result, what you would like to see happen, make some suggestions. And step 5, in closing, end on a positive note. Throughout this process, you're going to pause to ask questions of the employee, such as, is there a reason for that? What challenges did you face? What can I do to help you? How should we resolve this? Those are kinds of questions that you can ask to ensure that the employee is continuing to be engaged in the conversation. Here's an example of how you might approach a conversation about missed deadlines. I've noticed that this new process seems to be challenging and we have missed some deadlines. What kinds of issues are you having? You can pause and ask for their feedback so they basically admit that they have been having some issues. For example, the report was due on Friday, April 10th, but it's now April 12th. Is there a reason for this delay? Again, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt in presenting balanced evidence. Step 3, we need these forms so accounting has our department's budget information to complete their reports by the end of the quarter. What training or help can I provide to make sure this happens? Offering support and assistance lets the employee know that you're on their side. Step 4, to meet our deadline, we will need your forms by April 15th at the latest. I suggest making this a priority, bringing in a temp, or reassigning the team. What suggestions do you have? Again, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt and engaging them in the conversation to ensure that they come up with a solution that's going to work for everyone. Step 5, I appreciate your assistance and appreciate the time you will devote to this important task. Are we on board for finishing this by April 15th? Get confirmation of the assignment, the process, and the deadline, and you may want to send a follow-up email to confirm the details. Now let's talk about some ground rules for giving effective feedback. Here are some do's and don'ts of giving effective feedback. First of all, things you do want to do are to own it. As we've mentioned before, you want to observe it, use I statements, and give that specific feedback to your staff member. Keep it balanced in terms of logic and emotion, in terms of positive and negative, and try to focus on only one or very few related issues. Express your confidence in the person. Provide a look at the big picture, why their job is important, why it's important that we do it this way, what the impact of the person's behavior will be. Please use a positive tone of voice and positive body language. Focus on outcomes. Ask your employees to come up with solutions that are going to work for them. And if possible, give feedback in person. Your ability to communicate is impaired if you don't give the feedback in person. Some of the things you don't want to do are yell, accuse, berate, embarrass, intimidate, or humiliate your employee. Your objective is to get them to listen to you, and that is better served by a positive communication process. Don't psychoanalyze them, and don't make sweeping generalizations like always or never. That's not specific enough. Always avoid passive-aggressive behavior like making subtle digs, sarcastic remarks, or personal insults. And don't issue ultimatums like, if this doesn't happen, you'll get fired. Clearly, fear is not going to be a good motivator. Also, don't go to others rather than the source. If you have an issue with someone and need to have a conversation with them, think about how to say it, think about what you're going to say, and use the 5-step feedback process to ensure that they're listening to your message. Keeping those tips in mind will ensure you have a productive and constructive feedback session. Thank you very much. This has been a presentation of i2i Workplace.